Spring and summer belong to the great outdoors, but as with anything, with those good times come the bad.
We usually see an increase in injuries starting in May across all ages because people are getting out more.
But there are ways to make sure that once they get outside, your kids are protected. After all, when hitting the park, the excitement builds and kids may not be paying the best attention to what's going on around them.
Kids are going to want to, do something fun and often, don't have the ability to like stop and really decide if it's a good idea or not.
Because of that, falls are the most common type of ways they tend to get hurt on the playground.
Watching your children and keeping an eye on them is the best thing you can do because you can not that you have to control every situation, but just making sure you're keeping an eye. So if they do tend to veer towards something more dangerous, you can redirect them to something safer to do.
One other rite of spring and summer, riding that bike. But that's another big way kids tend to get hurt, straining wrists, ankles, even cracking their heads when taking a spill.
If they fall and hit their head and seem confused or aren't acting appropriately, definitely need to bring them to the hospital.
Properly fitted helmets can reduce that risk by half when worn. Right now, less than half of kids 14 and under are wearing head protection. Also, remember that little kids who play on big kid equipment will have a further drop ahead of them if they slip.
When we have our kids going outside playing at the playground, it's important to make sure they're using age appropriate equipment.
Falls account for more than 75% of all playground related injuries. So taking your kids to playgrounds with shock absorbing surfaces like rubber, synthetic turf, and sand can lessen the injury. Another way to help protect your kids is to make sure they have appropriate clothing on. Nothing too baggy, or necklaces, or clothes with drawstrings, all of which can catch on equipment.
Flip-flops cause a lot of falls. So we want to make sure our kids have good shoes on.
Just remember that kids will get hurt at some point. You can't stop that completely, but it shouldn't get in the way of letting them have some fun.
For kids, the world is a magical place. And there's all these new adventures and new discoveries to find, which is fantastic. But we as parents and caregivers just need to make sure we're nurturing their curiosity with while supervising them and keeping them safe.
For Family Focus, I'm Tim Miller, WTOL 11.